All right, good afternoon once again. Thank you all for your patience. We are going to start right away. So, my name is Chukuka Isaac, and I'll be your host for this webinar. We are Cyber Plural, and this is our Be Proactive webinar series. And today we are going to be looking at unmasking how we unmask cyber threats from the offensive lenses, right? A quick introduction of who we are. We're basically a cybersecurity firm. Cyberpura is a cybersecurity firm, and we provide service, MSSP service, that's managed security service provider. We are managed security service providers. We have our SOC here in Abuja. And as part of what we do is monitoring, incident response, penetration testing, risk and compliance as well. Then, of course, training both for the technical and non-technical members. So we are so glad to have you all on this call, and I would like you to just relax because we are all going to have a good time, digging deep into what we have. So I have with me here, I won't be doing this alone. I have some amazing guys. I have Emmanuel Ajibolo on the call. Could you guys please show your face? I also have Daniel and as well Habib. Say hi to the guys.
Hey everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes. So welcome, guys. We're going to be having a good time here. We're going to make this as interactive as possible. And to the audience, if at any point you have questions, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box, and we'll be glad to respond to them accordingly. Thank you so much. So we have a couple of things we'd like you guys to do. First, we have the white paper, which we'll be basing our review on, right? So the link to this white paper will be dropped on the chat box, right? So that you can download the white paper and you can easily follow along with us as we give the review. We also have there's our website, which you can also go to their other amazing stuff. We also have our reports, 2003 incident reports, right? It's out there. The link would also be dropped in the chat box so that you can all download and have access to it. Okay. So take us through the review is going to be Emmanuel, right? Emmanuel, you're going to, first tell us what inspired the the white paper, right? What led to having this white paper out there, right? Before we actually start the review. So, Emmanuel.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Sam. So we had to come up with the white paper because we realized that there was a shortage of technical people in our space here in Nigeria. Over time, the more environment we find ourselves, the more environment we get the privilege to test, whether network environments, mobile applications, or web applications, of what have you, that we get to test as an organization. There are certain vulnerabilities that are recurrent, so we felt a need that there is a need for us to put out a paper that talks about this so that the people can be aware and developers can also learn what we have in the paper.
All right. So, okay, that's a good one. Thank you so much. We're just going to quickly jump into the reviews now, talking about some of the vulnerabilities that the white paper address, and as well how they can be exploited and what kind of effects can it have on the organization or on organizations rather when exploited. Let's not forget that this white paper or this vulnerability we are reviewing was actually it's majorly targeting the fintech space, right? Because just like Emmanuel said, the build up to this white paper was as a result of series of vulnerability assessment and penetration testing conducted for majorly the fintech for majorly fintech organizations, right? And we felt okay, there is need for us to put out these common vulnerabilities out there, and as well, put give proper guidance as well as to how to remediate these vulnerabilities. So moving straight into it, the first one, Emmanuel, is poor error handling. Could you just tell us what this vulnerability is, ease of exploitation, and as well, what kind of effects can it have on an organization if the bad guys are able to exploit it?
Mm. All right, thank you very much. Poor error handling, it's a security um, issue which we have when an application, maybe a mobile application or a web application, reveals has sensitive information as part of its error message. So it's not out of place for an application to encounter error or to run into an error, but definitely it becomes a security issue when the error message is revealing more than it's supposed to, right? As at 2020, 2019, in the Django, if the Django debug mode should be set to true, right? There used to be, as part of the error, there used to be API keys and other sensitive information, but Django itself, the Django organization decided to remove that as part of the message, right? So in as much as across various pen tests, across various engagements, we come about Django debug mode being set to true in different environments. I mean, the level of disaster that could be accomplished through significantly reduced. But this finding, right? This finding is not limited to just Django. Django is just a case study, just one example of the various scenarios. So another example is, let's say for application login, whether mobile application login or web application login or whichever one you have, we've seen there's a recurrent case of web application in giving clue as to the existence of a user or a resource, or the non-existence of a user or resource. So let's say, for example, I'm testing an application and then I try the username Emmanuel and the web application is telling me username Emmanuel not found. Yes, an attacker, that will help me in creating a more intelligent word list, right? So I don't just spray. Then I could go ahead to do probably password spray for the username that I know are existent on the platform. So these are just two examples of scenarios that we've come across, right? One, let me just summarize. One, recurrent case of debug mode being set to true in production environments. Two, applications informing an attacker of the existence of a user or resource on that platform. Thank you. Sorry, your mic is muted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. So thank you so much, Emmanuel. Could you also touch on quickly though the how the effects exploiting this can cause on an organization? How much effects can it cause?
Mm. All right. I think it would be safe for me to make reference to a particular pen test which we did earlier this year for a client, and as part of the message that the application, it's a financial solution, right? It had 2FA, right? 2FA enabled on across the application, but then on taking a better look at the application, we realized that that there's an error that the application runs into that sends the 2FA code, right? The 2FA code, not just to the email alone, but it also sends it back to the mobile application. Although this is not visible on the user interface, it is somewhere hidden there. Yeah, so that's just an example.
All right, thank you so much. So moving forward, uh, we're also going to look at unrestricted user assets, right? So can you also touch on what the
Mm.
vulnerability is, ease of exploitation, and the impacts really?
Okay, so this is one of those vulnerabilities that are so easy that we easily come across and has like a significant amount of impact across an organization, application or clients. Okay, I believe this is worth mentioning, right? That right now we've noticed that we have like an API centric development culture right now. Everybody is trying to get the one stop solution, right? So it's not just, oh, let me build a mobile application, one for Android, then get developers to build another one for iOS. Right now, a lot of people are moving their development, right, to be API powered, right? Their projects to be API powered. So okay, we have an API that is working, which is handling the work for the web application. The same API is handling the work for mobile applications such as Android, iOS, and even if possible, Windows. Okay, yeah. So we've come across various APIs right now in various tests, and we've noticed that there are certain endpoints in the API which are not visible to the user, not just in one organization, not just in two organizations, right? Across various organizations, that some of these endpoints sometimes even lack proper authorization or authentication, right? So the assumption is always, from the developer's perspective, the assumption is always that, oh, we are the only one aware existence of this API, so there's no need to enforce as much security as possible. So an instance that easily comes to my mind is doing a test, not I mean doing a couple of tests, we've come across API endpoints that allows us to dump the entire user of a particular fintech solution, right? So we're able to dump all the users that are registered on the platform, including their PII. Part of this, we have things such as their username, we have things such as their transaction PIN, which are being stored in plain text. That itself is another problem, right? Then we also have things such as account balance. So from just one endpoint, I get to extract everybody on the platform account balance, so I can know, oh, if Daniel is registered on the platform, even without being authenticated as Daniel, I can get to know what Daniel's account balance is. So it's quite interesting. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Emmanuel. A quick one. So, what can the developers do to manage this vulnerability?
Okay, thank you very much. So I think number one, right, is proper education for developers. So when I say proper education for developer, what I'm trying to say is that there should be a mindset shift, right? It's a mindset thing, like we always say, security is a mindset thing, right? So developers should incorporate security from the very beginning stage of development. So security should not be an afterthought as we have right now.
All right, thank you so much. Security should be by security should be by design and not an afterthought. I think that is very, very fundamental to know. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Moving forward, we also have this field authorization and user impersonation. And I see this often in most of the pen tests I'm involved in, right? I keep seeing field authorization. Like this is a vulnerability that it's out there a lot, right? Could you talk more on it and as well what can be done to mitigate it?
All right, thank you very much. Beautiful question. So, field authorization, right, and user impersonation, right. This one quite funny vulnerability. I think one that we easily come across in environments that we find ourselves is the IDO, right, the insecure direct object reference, where certain endpoints in an application is not doesn't have a proper authentication in place, right? Another one we've come across, I mean, like I said, everybody's moving to the use of API right now because they're trying to cut cost and try as much as possible not to get skill set that is not so important in the organization, right? So let's say, for example, for APIs, most time we realize that there are times where there's probably a failure in the authentication mechanism, right? And maybe instead.
Hello, Emmanuel, are you there? Okay, so while we wait for Emmanuel, Daniel, could you just go on? I think Emmanuel is having a technical challenge at the moment, probably network.
Yeah, all right, sir. Okay, so basically our the entire purpose of our seminar or webinar rather is the concept of race conditions. So race conditions are not a new thing within computing or cybersecurity in general. If you are familiar with kernel exploits, you would recall Polkit, the vulnerability in Policy Kit in 2019 that allows a low-level user to get access as a root-level user on the computer. So the idea of this is that this type of vulnerabilities are also starting to become more predominant within financial technology infrastructure within Nigeria or within financial softwares within Nigeria or generally, but predominantly in this case scenario, we're talking about Nigeria, of course. So these types of vulnerabilities are starting to become more predominant within our space. So what exactly is even a race condition vulnerability? A
All
race
right,
condition.
so just hold on to your thoughts, Daniel,
All
and
right, so
Emmanuel is back, so he'll just continue. Yeah, Emmanuel, could you please go on?
All right, thank you very much. Sincere apologies for the breaking connection. Right. So
welcome.
like I was saying, right, we've seen a lot of cases of bearer tokens failing, right, and applications are therefore forced to rely solely on other means of identification or authentication across the platform, such as user ID, right? So there was a pen test that I was privileged to lead the team on, and on discovering this, right, we were able to, when we realized that, oh, there's a failure in the bearer token, right, and every other thing is solely reliant on user ID. We, by just knowing any user ID, we get to perform any function that that user is supposed to do. So let's say, for example, Daniel is registered on the application, and I know that Daniel's user ID is 123 ABCD, right? So if I get logged into the application and I change my user ID from what it is to 123 ABCD, right, I get to be logged in. I get to have complete access across the application as Daniel. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So this is a major vulnerability, and it sounds so easy, and I mean, as simple as it sounds, you find it almost in every vulnerability assessment and penetration testing engagements
Yes.
we get into out there, and it's just so amazing, right? That it's just the simple things that just give out these guys. All right, thank you so much. Moving on, I'd also like you to talk on the excessive JWT validity and weak secret key, right? But first, give a background of the JWT. You get it?
Okay,
What is
so
JWT?
all right, thank you very much. I will try to give a high level explanation of what JWT token is, right? JWT is, so like I said earlier, right, we have a lot of people push moving to the use of APIs, right, to API powered applications, right? So JWT is to API what session cookies is to web application. I hope that is as clear as possible. So JWT is to APIs what cookies, right? Session cookies are to mobile web application, right? So excessive JWT validity. Now, each cookie, right, in the when we talk about web application, a cookie is supposed to have a lifespan where the cookie gets after, let's say, after 2 days, the cookie expires and then the user is prompted to log in. So across various tests, we've come across not repeated instances of JWT tokens, right, having excessively long lifespan. So say for example, we've come across a particular pen test, we came across a JWT token having as much as 3 months, staying as much as 3 months, right? Staying as long as 3 months. So what this means is that should in case somebody, maybe a bad guy or a threat actor, should by one way or the other compromise this JWT token, right? He has access to that particular account, right, to that particular endpoint for the next 3 months. Now, another vulnerability we easily come across in our in our space, right, is that these JWT tokens do not get terminated once a user relogs it, right? So if a user should change his or her username and password, right, this particular JWT token is still valid on that platform. So, right, so you can imagine how terrible that is. So another thing we easily come across is the use of weak secret keys. So now when I say weak secret key, trust me, it is not people using secret keys such as Emmanuel is a fine boy, Jesus is coming soon, Muhammad is the greatest prophet, like we've seen in. I mean, people get to use very funny passwords, right? No, I mean, there are solid word lists like we have here. I think one of the word lists worth mentioning in this session is Walam word list, which is a very good word list for cracking JWT secret key, right? So we're able to crack a secret key, right, for a particular application, and there was a build up in that particular pen test. One, we discovered that there was excessive there was unnecessary endpoints which allowed us to dump some PII, and then on inspecting the JWT, right, we're able to crack the JWT, and after cracking the JWT, it was only a matter of creating a valid JWT. And when we did this, it was a system-wide compromise, right, and for a financial solution. So we had access to everybody's account on that particular financial solution. Now, the danger of the excessive JWT validity is that, imagine that even if, should in case our presence on that particular solution is detected, right, and there's a system-wide password reset, we still have persistence on that particular platform for as long as 3 months. Now, 3 months is one case. We've also come across a case where the JWT key, right, the JWT token has as much as 1 year lifespan. So, I mean, that's crazy. That's really, really crazy. Sorry, your mic is muted.
I was blown away as well when we discovered that vulnerability.
No,
Whoa.
it
Of
was
course.
one of those moments I just like, don't need
Yes,
to
it
do.
was really good. It was really good. All right. So let's not forget that there's going to be a demo session where we are going to be demonstrating on the race condition, how it can easily be exploited, especially in the fintech space. So please, that will come shortly after this review. Thank you. So moving forward, the last question. I would like you to just quickly touch on this because Daniel is still going to, hits more on this concept of race condition, right, and how it can be exploited before the demo. So quickly, what is race condition?
Okay. So race condition, right? Okay. This an interesting topic that I do not want to go deep into, because if I should, okay, don't worry. I will leave Daniel and Habib to just enjoy that, right? But let me just try as much as possible not to go deep into what they are supposed to present to us, right? So I will say race condition is a particular vulnerability that is heavily reliant on what we call a time, right? A window, right? So let's say, for example, I'm supposed to use a resource, right? Maybe I'm supposed to use a resource, right? And there's usually a time window for using that resource. So let's see, let me God. Okay. So in the fintech space, right? I want to send money from my account, right, to Habib's account, right? And my account balance is, let's say, 5,000 naira, right? Now, I'm supposed to be able to send just 5,000 naira from my accounts to, that is the maximum amount I can move. Now, race condition vulnerability occurs if, let's say, for example, right, I have a laptop logged into my account and I have a mobile phone right? I have the same account logged in on my mobile phone and I initiate the transaction at the same time, right? If these two requests should get to the server side at the same time, when the server is going to be checking my account balance, right? It's going to be checking, we assume that this will be happening simultaneously. Both requests will be showing that I have an account balance of what? Of 5,000 naira, right? When the money moves from my account to Habib's account, what Habib gets to receive will be what? 10,000 naira. You get, because these are two requests, don't forget that, right? Which is above what I have in my account. So I think that's like how I can just
Yeah,
explain
yeah, makes sense, makes sense, makes sense.
with Habib and Daniel, because
All right.
after the right. So I mean, I must first give credit to a particular person who brought this issue up as at 2023, April 2023. His name is Okoyemi Awoniyi, right? Right, he spoke about how the race condition has been plaguing the fintech space in Nigeria. But I mean, he did a very good job. I can't take that away from him. But the example I just gave now, right, is a very high level overview of what race condition is. And I just explained using my mobile device, right, and my laptop. So imagine if somebody gets to automate this process, right? So that is what we are trying to explain here, right? So before now, it used to be relatively hard to come to carry out this particular vulnerability because there are a lot of factors to put in place. One is timing. Like I said, there's a window, right? Right. You have to make sure that your both requests, right, the parallel requests are getting to that particular resource.
Okay, okay.
Right.
Emmanuel, sorry, I'd have to stop you. I can see you're enjoying this. But I'd have to stop you there and give room for questions. So please, if you have questions for Emmanuel, if you have questions for us, just do well, yeah. So put it in the chat box. I hope the chat box is enabled for people to uh, drop their questions or type their questions. So please, if you have questions for Emmanuel, do well to drop them in the chat box before we go into our demo session. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you for the cheers. Appreciate. All right, so let's not forget that this webinar is brought to you by Cyber Plural, right? And basically what we do, we are a cybersecurity company and we provide managed security as a service and as well other services like penetration testing, incident response, governance, risk and compliance, training, and all like forensics as well, everything cybersecurity. So thank you guys. While we're waiting for your questions,
So I
just
think
drop
we
them in.
have a question. We have Omali, right? If I'm
Okay.
getting the pronunciation.
Okay. I can't see.
Her hand is. I think she wants to use a mic.
Oh, okay. So everyone can send message, please. It will be better if you just type your message. It's enabled for everyone to send message now. Please feel free to type your messages. Thank you. All right. So while we're expecting that, Daniel, could you? Hi, Josiah. Could you please turn off your video? Thank you.
Okay. So should I wait for the response to questions or should I move?
No, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. We'll take the
All right.
questions later here.
Okay, so I will be explaining more about race conditions in its entirety. So like I previously mentioned, race conditions could also happen in kernel. Okay, race conditions could also happen within the context of the kernel of the operating system. But here we are referring to it within the context of web applications. So with web applications, it is typically more prevalent within applications that utilize some form of business logic that prevents you from performing a specific action multiple times. So think of it in this context, right? You make a request to a web application, but you're not restricted as to, you have a restriction as to how many times you can perform that action, but some form of vulnerability occurs within the application that allows you to perform that action multiple times within a specific time interval. So that is on a very high level what a race condition is. But a technical definition is sort of like this, right? So within an application, if you as an attacker or a penetration tester, you are able to send multiple requests in parallel or multiple requests at the same time within the same set period of time, and that same sequence of requests interact with the same data within the back end of the computer or the back end of the application, then it would cause some form of unexpected behavior within the application when those multiple threads try to access that same resource on the back end of the server, and then that would cause an unexpected behavior. This multiple requests would sort of collide with one another. They call it a collision. So that collision opens up a race window, the time within which you are able to make multiple requests or perform multiple actions in quick successions, and they would actually be valid. The web application would have no other choice than to process your requests and then give you back a response. So you would typically see it within financial applications that you have a limit as to how much money you can transfer. Let's say you had only 50,000 naira, but you want to send 100,000 to someone, but you have just 50,000 naira. So within such an application, you would sort of orchestrate a form of collision by making sure you perform that transaction of sending 50,000 naira multiple times to the application. So you are able to time that single request, but duplicate it and then send it multiple times to the application. Since the application is receiving concurrent requests from one source, but it doesn't know how to treat it, it ends up those requests end up causing a collision on the back end because they are interacting with the same data, and then that collision ends up causing an unexpected behavior, such as allowing you to send 50,000 naira 5 times. So you end up sending like 250,000 naira to someone when you have just 50,000 naira in your bank account. So that's just a very descriptive understanding. So typically in this particular demo, we are going to be focusing on just a specific subtype known as limit overruns. So a limit overrun race condition occurs in web applications that have some form of limits that they impose on the users of the application. How many times you can perform it, how many times you can perform a specified action on the web application, and then it forces you to remain within the constraints of those limits. So imagine you have a promo code, and then you can only apply that promo code once, as it should be. But then the application allows you somehow to send multiple requests within a set. You are able to send multiple requests to the application within a set period of interval or within an interval of time. And if you send multiple requests or use that particular code consecutively within that interval of time, it would allow you to actually apply that promo code. So other conditions where you would see race conditions more predominant is in features that would allow you to perform an action within a single use type of span, or a rate limited endpoint that would have some form of security impact, or some form of endpoint that allows you to only do something once. So if you're able to overrun that limit that the application has imposed on users, you will be able to orchestrate a race condition attack. So
Thank you.
before
Okay.
okay, so before Portswigger released an update to Burp Suite at the middle of last year, it was really hard to perform this attack, basically because you need to make sure that you send those requests at the same time within that interval of time to the server. So apart from just time, you also have network latency. I mean, we live in Nigeria where you could have a network latency of like a couple of milliseconds. So within a race window only lasts for like 0 point something milliseconds or 2 milliseconds.
Yeah.
So within 2 milliseconds, you need to send a request like 10 times if you want to perform the action 10 times. So imagine you sending 10 times or 10 requests to a server within 10 milliseconds. So it's very hard to perform such an action. So these are the issues. So Burp Suite has fixed that in a way, but it's still hard. But Burp Suite has provided a way for you to send parallel requests to a server within an interval of time. So Habib is going to be doing a demo now. that would better explain what I have just explained, a more visual outlook onto what race condition
All right.
vulnerability.
Thank you so much, Daniel. We really can't wait to get into the demo. Habib, are you ready for us?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All
Excited
right.
to show you guys the demo. Yeah.
All right. So I'm just going to stop sharing so you can take it up.
All right. Okay, so I'm gonna be using Portswigger's the labs to demonstrate limit overruns, race condition basically. So in their lab here, I'm just gonna give you a quick snapshot of the tools we're gonna be using. So we're gonna use something called Burp Suite, which is basically a web proxy that intercept traffics uh, between like any traffic or request we send to a server, for instance. So here in the lab, it's limit overrun race conditions, basically, and it's a web application where we can purchase any product, basically. And we're given like, just like the example that Daniel and Emmanuel mentioned. For instance, you're given, you have like uh, a limited amount of cash in your web application account, and you want to purchase maybe a product that costs, let's say, for instance, 10,000 naira, but you have just, let's say, 5,000 naira in your account. So in order for us to exploit, uh, if the application is vulnerable to limit overrun race conditions, we would basically be able to send multiple requests to the application, to the backend, that will allow us to exceed the amount that we have in order to purchase, let's say, a jacket for like 10,000 naira, and for 10,000 naira. So I'm just gonna start up the lab here, and I already have the lab here. So this is the web application, and as we can
Sorry,
see,
Daniel, we can't
we
see
have
your
like,
screen. We can't see your screen.
oh, sorry. Uh, I can't share my screen for I'm not allowed, basically. I think it's
Oh,
from your end. Yeah.
okay, just a moment. Emmanuel, can you fix that from your end?
Okay, I'll do that quickly, please.
Is that fixed?
No, I'm on it, please. Just give me a
Okay.
minute.
Okay, so try now, Habib.
Yeah, I can. Now I can. Thank you.
All right.
All right, so let me just share my screen. I apologize for that. All right. So we can, I hope everyone can see my screen. All right.
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay. All right, perfect. So this is the web application, just like I mentioned, and this is basically from Portswigger, basically. So this is a web application where we can purchase, different types of products over here. But we're gonna log in now with our user account just to see our balance. Okay, sorry.
I mean, funny how
I
Daniel was in
apologize.
reference to the Nigerian network and you
Yeah,
can see how fast it
I
is.
apologize. The network is pretty much bad today. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's try that again. So we're going to I'm going to log in with the credentials that we've been provided with the lab, basically. So the credential for our account is basically Wiener, and the password is sorry, let me grab it. Peter, yeah. Okay, so now that we're logged in, if you guys can see over here, we have just $50 in our bank account. And let's say, for example, we just want to, and at the same time, we're given like a 20% coupon, basically. So let's say we want, for example, we want to purchase this jacket that costs, this lit jacket that costs 1,337. So first of all, before we go deeper into the limit overrun, I'm just gonna demonstrate how an application basically is intended to work when you apply a coupon. Because normally, when you have a coupon code, you're meant to use it just once and not, multiple times. So I'm just gonna grab the coupon, and let's say let's get something else. Let's get this, yeah. Let's get this item. And we're just going to add it to our cart. Okay, so I'm just going to add this to our cart. And now, okay, so this is the application basically. So we are going to apply the promo code, which is promo 2020. And when I click on apply, basically, we can see here that the coupon has been applied basically because we have a discount. The new total basically is no longer $52.35. It's now basically 20% off. So if you remember correctly, I mentioned that when you have a coupon code, it's basically intended to be used just once. So if I try to apply the coupon again, now that it's already been used, if I try to apply it again, we're going to receive an error, basically. So we can see here that the error says coupon already applied. So the anatomy of this is basically when the first time that I applied the coupon, the process or the request was sent to the database. And then the database checked that, okay, has this coupon been used before? But during the first request, it had not been used. So it applied the coupon basically and registered it in the database that this coupon has been used. So the second time that I just tried right now, the application will repeat the same process that I just mentioned, which is basically to check, okay, is the coupon, has it been used before or not? And in this case, it's been used. So basically, instead of going through the next step by applying the coupon for the second time, it's not going to. So it's just going to throw an error just to tell us that, okay, the coupon is not being applied. But in the case to say, okay, this application is vulnerable to limit overrun race condition, we would be able to send multiple requests to the database to apply the coupon multiple times during the race window that Emmanuel and Daniel discussed earlier, which is a very imperative process in order for us to exploit limit overrun race condition. So I just want to give a little bit of background because back in the day when developers or even, excuse me, when threat actors, they would, the usual way they would exploit limit overrun is by, when they apply the coupon code, let's say for instance, I apply this, they would basically click the apply button multiple times to see that to see if the application is vulnerable or not, or to see if the application is going to accept is going to process the coupon code multiple times. But nowadays we have something called multi-threaded processing in modern day applications. So this has basically prevented this the conventional way of exploiting limit overrun. So just like Daniel and Emmanuel mentioned, so it's hard to like exploit limit overrun. So because of that, we have Burp Suite. What do you call it? Yeah, Portswigger, the company that created Burp Suite. So they basically made an attack called, or a feature in their tool called single packet attack. So what this attack does is that it gives us the leverage to send multiple requests within the race window, which is basically within milliseconds, basically. So with this tool, we can send multiple requests to the
Sorry.
database to exploit. Yeah,
Uh,
can you hear me?
Habib, we can't see your bob suits,
You can't?
or it's not
Oh,
up yet. Yes,
it's up.
but it's not
Let me
on the
just.
screen. You are. Yeah, you can just add that
Oh,
to your
okay, yeah,
screen.
yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, so this is Burp Suite. Yeah.
Okay.
Um. So yeah. So this is Burp Suite. Yeah. This is the tool. Just a second. Sorry, I apologize. Okay, so we have it here, and this is the tool, basically the proxy that I mentioned earlier that intercepts traffic before it gets to the server. So as I was saying, so this tool has that feature, and this feature is here basically. But let me just demo it. I'm going to turn on my proxy to intercept the request that we're going to send. So before that, I'm just going to remove this from our cart. And then we're going to try to, since we have $50 here in our account, we're going to try to purchase this leather jacket that cost 1,337. Okay. All right, so we have it here in our cart. And now we would apply the coupon, but just to be sure, I'm just gonna check my, turn on the intercept. So this is basically, once I turn this feature on, it's going to, instead of the request to get sent directly to the web server, Burp Suite is going to capture that request before it gets to the server so we can manipulate it. So I'm just gonna click on apply. And we should have it here. Yeah, so this is the request. So basically the request has not been sent to the server, which is the web application itself. So what we're gonna do is that I'm just gonna send this over to repeater. So repeater is something that lets us basically send multiple requests to a server, without having to refresh our browser. So I'm just going to send that here. I'm just going to turn off the intercept so that we can now send this to the web server actually. So if we see, we can, the coupon code is basically applied. So just like I mentioned, there's a new feature called a single packet attack. So which will let us send multiple requests at the same time. And in order to exploit, send all of these processes through the race window. So for us to do that, we're going to duplicate this request because we need to. And I'm just going to make it around, let's just start with, I think, 10 requests. So once we do that, we're going to do this because we're going to group the request into a single packet, basically, so it can be sent to the server. All right. So this is these are the features basically that are incorporated to Burp Suite. So this is the request, the feature, sorry, that we're going to use, the single packet that lets us sends like a huge amount of requests at the same time. So I'm just going to send it over. But before that, we need to remove the coupon code because it's already been applied. Or else if we don't remove this from the user interface, it's not going to work, basically. So I'm just going to remove that real quick. And let's try to send the requests because we're sending them in parallel, which means that we're sending them at the same time. Okay, so it looks like they've been sent. We can see here it says this is the first request that we sent, basically. Like out of the 10 requests that we sent concurrently, this is the first one. We can see it says coupon applied. So let's see the second request. You can see again it says coupon applied, and then the third one also says coupon applied. So, but let's just test it out in the user interface. So over here, we can see that the deduction or the new price is basically $73. But if we look over here, the promo code, the actual price is $1,337. But if we were to deduct just 20%, it's not meant to be up to $1,263. So what basically happened is that we were able to successfully send all of these requests at the same time, and this basically caused an unintended behavior in the backend because the database is not going to have the chance or the opportunity to register the coupon code in the database that, okay, this has been used. So if we try to place the order, we will still not be able to because we don't have enough credit in our account. So I'm just going to add a little bit more of requests. Because the reason for this is, we mentioned earlier that basically the latency or like the jitters, we have something called jitters. Basically, it's like variance in latency that it delays the request to be sent at this like simultaneously, like large amount of requests to be sent simultaneously. So that's why sometimes time of the request to go through the short race window that we have, it's a big challenge for penetration testers or even threat actors in the real world. So in order to successfully purchase this item, we're just going to add more requests and then we'll try again. But before that, again, we have to remove the promo code because it's basically been registered. So we need to remove it from the database that it's not been registered. So I'm just going to send that again. Okay, so we have here, let's start from the beginning again. So we have coupon applied again, applied. Over here we have already applied. So if we look at this one, it says coupon applied. But what basically happens here is that when this process was sent concurrently with the rest of the processes here, this one specifically, and probably some other ones, they were not registered in the database that they have been used. So, but if we look at this one, this process basically has been registered. I mean, the coupon basically has been registered in the database. So that's why we have coupon already applied. But if we were to refresh here on our user interface, okay, so it worked, but still we're still not able to get the price down. So we're just going to try. Let's currently we have 16 processes that we want to set at the same time. So let's just increase that to like 23. Okay, so now we have we have 22. So let's just make that 23. So 23 processes we want to set at the same time. So I'm just going to remove the promo code again. All right, so let's send the packets. Okay, so let's refresh our web browser again. Okay, so it's still the same. So this is what we discussed earlier about. So I'm just going to increase the number of requests again. And before that, I need to remove it again. Okay, let's refresh one more time. Okay, so now we've, if you guys can see clearly, we can see that the limit overrun vulnerability has been successfully exploited because we've been able to cut down the price way below the amount of money we have in our account. So if we place this order, basically, we'd be able to purchase it, even though we initially, or even though the initial price of the jacket is $1,337. So I'm just going to place the order. And basically, yeah, so we've solved the lab. And so I hope you guys were able to understand. But before I hand over to Mr. Sam, I'm just going to give a quick recap of what just happened here. Just like I mentioned, the, you know, time and the what do you call it? All these requests to go through the race window is a very, very imperative thing that we need as attackers, or even sorry, as cybersecurity professionals, or even threat actors, to exploit race conditions. Because what happened here is that all these processes uh, were basically sent to the database. So before the coupon code for each process could be registered in the database that it's been used, um, the second and or the subsequent processes behind the first one. Let's say, for example, this is the first process that we have that we sent in the single packet attack. So before the first one has been registered in the database that the coupon has been used, the second process has already requested to apply the same coupon again. So, and it happens with subsequent what do you call it, requests to apply the promo code. And as a result, we've been able to exploit it. So I hope everyone's been able to understand and see the severity of race conditions in the fintech space in Nigeria. So I'm just going to hand over to Mr. Sam. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Habib, for that super amazing demonstration. Thank you so much. So all right. So I mean, someone asked the question earlier that is, can we relate the race condition to fake transfer according to the example I cited? So I would say no, but since Habib did the demo, I will leave Habib to do the explanation. So thank you, Habib. Please, can you explain
All
why?
right. So, sorry, what was the question again? I did not fully grasp.
Okay, can we relate race condition to fake transfers?
Okay, so I'm not sure I understood fully what that means, but when we want to tie this basically to, let's say, a fintech application for transfers, basically, like we want to transfer money. Let's say, for example, for instance, I have on my laptop right now, I have my bank account opened, and I have let's say a limited amount of money, and I want to send it to, let's say, any one of the audience here. And let's say at the same time, someone else has, or let's say someone else has my account credentials and has gone to the ATM machine to try to, you know, send some funds to, let's say, someone else in the audience also. So if we were to tie this, or if we were to say a race condition in this context, I would basically have to send the limited amount of funds. Let's say I want to send like 2,000 naira, and I have just 1,000 naira in my bank account balance. So and the other person at the ATM also wants to send that exact same amount, which is 2,000, but my balance is 1,000 naira. So if both of us were to send the request at the same time, this and it's let's what I mean by same time is that we perfectly timed the request, or the
Yeah.
request. The application is going to process both of them at the same time, and this is going to
Yeah.
cause a unintended behavior in the application, and which will lead to a race window opening up. And once that opens up, if both requests are timed at the same time, like what I mean, same time, like in milliseconds apart from each other,
Yeah.
it's basically going to send 1,000 twice instead of just sending 2,000 twice. So we've
Yeah.
basically surpassed the limit. If
Mm.
we remember correctly, Emmanuel mentioned that one of the ways one of the ways to exploit limit overruns is that we have to exceed the limit imposed, basically. So this is,
Thank you, Abi. Yeah.
I
Thank you.
hope this has been able to clear up the question.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Daniel, please, can you help us add to this? Thank you.
Okay, so Habib explained it beautifully, but I want to bring it more into context. So, how can
Yeah.
we relate risk conditions to a fake transfer? They are
Mm.
absolutely different things. Here's why. So,
Thank
when you're
you.
doing a risk condition, you are benefiting yourself. A fake
Mm.
transfer is not benefiting you in the sense that, I mean, financially. So, in sense that we raise conditions, you are engineering multiple requests to be able to be accepted within a limit of a time frame. So you are sending money multiple, you are performing an action multiple times. So let's say you want to buy something, but you cannot afford that thing. You don't have
Yeah.
money. So you are able to place an order to perform that action multiple times. So let's say you are paying to Oremo and you're buying earbuds, but you have only 5,000 naira, but the Oremo earbuds is 20,000 naira.
Yeah.
So a race condition would be you using your 5,000 naira to buy that Oremo earbuds 4 times, right? So you're
Yeah.
benefiting yourself that
Mm.
risk condition or with your small money. But with a
Yeah.
fake transfer, you are basically trying to fool the other person. You're not sending money to the person.
Thank you very much. So in
Yeah.
fake transfer, the money, there's no money involved, right? And in risk condition, money is actually getting moved, right? In summary, Daniel.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely,
So, yes,
absolutely.
thank you. I just want to add this, right? Abib is not a Nigerian guy, so he doesn't understand what we are talking about when we say fake alert. So don't mind him. That's why he's explaining the both.
All right. Thank you so much, guys, for your time. We are already a little bit behind time. This is supposed to be 1 hour, but we are just okay. Austin is raising a hand. Austin, you have. Can you just make your points in 1 minute, please? Because we're already behind schedule. Thank you.
If we're behind schedule, maybe I can just send a mail to one of you to actually clarify further, because I think I'm really interested in the discourse. And I'm also
Okay.
trying to see how we can, from your recommendation, I was expecting that your final take would be how to build security around our security and not leave security in the hands of humans. So probably I'll just shoot you an email to clarify further. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. That would be great. We'll be expecting your mail. Thank you so much. We have a question. We have Farouk Ibrahim. Good evening, everyone. Please, where does the vulnerability lie? On, is it on the server or application? Yeah, Emmanuel.
Definitely it's on the server. It's the way the server is handling the request. Yeah, just like Daniel was trying to explain earlier on.
All right. Do we still issue? Okay. Do we still see the issue of automated requests based on limit overruns because of mistakes from developers? So a few in the 2010s, but not sure in the 2020s. Do we still see the issue of automated requests based on limits overruns because of mistakes from developers. I think Habib talked about this earlier, right? Because of the concept of threats now, we don't really see that anymore. I hope that answers your question, Peregrine. Yeah. So any other question? Is anybody raising a hand? All right, thank you so much. So again, I will just want to appreciate you all for your time, for making our time to be a part of this our proactive webinar series. I want to believe we've all, had a good time and we've all also learned from one another. Again, thank you. And remember, this is Cyber Plural. We're pretty much a cybersecurity company. And basically, what we do is provide managed security service for both small and big businesses, pen testing, incident response, vulnerability assessments, governance, risk and compliance, and as well training. We are like your shop log for all kinds of technical training. Again, thank you so much. You can check our website, view us, follow us on all of our social media platform, and we'll be glad to attend to you. Again, thank you so much. Farouk is still asking questions. Okay, yes, it will. Okay, answer. So, this is where we draw the curtain until we see you again in our next proactive webinar series. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye, everybody. See you next time.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Bye.
Thank you for joining.